You know, not every game has a clear play. Sometimes the pro bettors are just leaning towards one team or another. So let's look at the games that the Sharps are leaning towards. The Chief Product Officer of the Quant Edge, Eliot Crist, joins me once again. Let's start things off with the Bucs and the Seahawks. Tampa's getting 4.5 as a road dog in Seattle. The line was at 6 earlier this week, but the Sharps just hammered it. Is it still a valuable play at 4.5?
That's why it's a lean. That's why it's a lean.
You loved it at 6.
Yeah, 6 is good value. 4 is still bettable, but I want to be careful. I think it's a line where the public's going to come in on Sunday and see the records and bet on the Seahawks, and the line's probably going to go back up to 5.5 or 6.
So wait on this one.
Yeah, I would wait on this one till Sunday, and then at that point I would hammer the Bucs. I think the thing that the Bucs really have in this one is they have an elite run defense, and the Seahawks, in their blood, that's what they want to do. That's what Pete Carroll, that's what Brian Schottenheimer want to do. They run 48% of the time, one of the highest rates in the league. And if you look at every single advanced metric for rushing defenses, the Bucs are top 2. And these aren't cupcake teams that they've played. They've legitimately eliminated Christian McCaffrey on the ground twice this season.
Wow. So that's the team that you don't want to run against.
Right, 100%. And the thing is, yes, the Seahawks can throw the ball, and Russell Wilson's one of the best quarterbacks. But they've shown time and time again that that's not what they do. They don't really open up and throw the ball all over the field. So assumption of rational coaching is one of the things we talked about on the first show we did with things that get people in trouble. And you don't want to just assume that because there's a matchup to take advantage of. If the coaching staff has never shown to do that, you don't want to just assume that they're going to.
They just picked up Josh Gordon. That could change things a little bit. Maybe not this week.
I think
we going overboard here?
I think my favorite tweet about Josh Gordon was that Brian Schottenheimer signed another wide receiver to run block.
Exactly. Well, that's why they got DK Metcalf, because he's basically a tight end out there. But here's another nugget. 4 of Seattle's 6 victories have come by an average of 2 points. They're not blowing teams away. That's why looking at this spread, it kind of, I guess, raises a red flag, if you will. And
the Bucs have been really competitive in most of their games too. I mean, the other reason this is a lean is Jameis Winston has been known to make some terrible decisions. 10 turnovers in the last 2 weeks. Granted, 3 were fumbles. He lost all 3 fumbles. Statistically, that should regress, but he has been known to make some bad decisions. But Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, these are going to be 2 really big problem matchups on the outside for the Seattle Seahawks. I think the Bucs keep this game really close.
All right, let's move on to the Jets and the Dolphins. They have a combined 1 victory between the 2 teams. This isn't expected to be a shootout. So let's take a peek at the over-under at 42.5. Do you like either side of that?
It's too low. It's too low. And I know we're going to talk.
So it will be more of a shootout, at least than 42.5.
I think this has a chance to creep closer towards 50.
Wow.
There's no Xavier Howard, who's the Dolphins' best defender. He might be the Dolphins' only defender at this point. Neither team gets any pass rush. They're both bottom 6 in adjusted sack rate. The Dolphins are the worst rush defense in the entire league, so the Jets should be able to get Le'Veon Bell going. The Dolphins' cast of characters that are their cornerbacks are as bad as any cornerbacks in the NFL. And Robbie Anderson and Sam Darnold, they've actually done a good job when they throw the deep ball, and the Dolphins are one of the worst teams in the league at defending deep passes. So, I think they'll come back on the other side with Fitzpatrick and Preston Williams and Devontae Parker and be able to attack the corners and the outside. And also, the Jets they're almost out of players at this point.
I mean, everybody. I think they've lost 5 inside linebackers as it stands.
Their top 5 inside linebackers coming in this season are all out in this one.
All out.
And so the one strength the Jets
I think they have 25 injured players on the Jets squad.
I've never seen something like that. And their one-star defensive player, Jamal Adams, is now questionable. And whether it's a foot or attitude, I don't know. But there's a legit concern about whether or not he plays. Leonard Williams is one of their best defenders. And the way the Jets have kind of stopped teams is with their rush defense. That's how they built this team. But no Leonard Williams, no inside linebackers, potentially no Jamal Adams. If that goes out, we're looking at 2 of the worst defenses in the NFL, and 42.5 is too low.
All right. Well, how about the spread here? 3.5 points. How do you see the spread lining up?
This one's tough. This one's really tough because the Dolphins, after watching that Engage 8 blitz on Monday Night Football on 3rd and 22, the tank seems very real. But I do think the Dolphins match up fairly well with the Jets, and I think this If they lose by a field goal, and I could see them winning this game outright.
You know, it's the Adam Gase Bowl, more or less, once again. So you think the Dolphins are going to be up for this game?
Yeah, I listen. If there was a game the Dolphins were going to get up for, it's revenge on Adam Gase, because everywhere he goes, his players.
Because you know they're looking at that big old donut in the win column, and they've got to be thinking to themselves, how many opportunities do we have to win games this year? This has got to be the one that we circle, and we'll just see how these teams come out. It could be a shootout. We'll have to find out. All right, we also want to take a closer look at that Giants-Cowboys game. The over-under on this one on the Monday night game is 48. Would that be something you might be interested in?
It would be. 48's a big number, but I think the Cowboys' offense and the way this Giants defense has struggled, I think it's the right number. I want the over in this one. Amari Cooper has been the key to this offense. With him on the field, they're averaging 10 yards per pass attempt. With him off the field, they're averaging just 7. More importantly, with him on the field, they're running only 42% of the time, compared to when he's off the field, they're running 58% of the time. So this team is passing more, they're passing more downfield and having more success. And Janoris Jenkins and DeAndre Baker, I mean, we're in New York. People here know they're not very good. And Daniel Jones on the other side, he's had some up and downs, but they've scored over 20 points in all but 2 of his starts. And those 2 were against the Patriots and the Vikings. And quite frankly, the Cowboys' defense are not the Patriots or Vikings.
Okay, so the last time these two teams played, Eli was at the helm in that Week 1 matchup. Does Daniel Jones help you decide which side of the line you might like?
Yeah, I think
because right now, I'm sorry, I should have thrown that in there. The Giants are 7-point dogs.
Right. The Giants, I think, will keep this game more competitive than they did in the last one. I think that line is razor sharp. If I get plus 7.5, I'd probably lean Giants, but it's a toss-up game.
Yeah. I hate it when they drop it right on a number like that. Why can't they just 6.5, 7.5? Do you really have to lay it right on the line?
It's because of the value. You know, that half point on a key number is a huge deal.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, I guess we'll find out this weekend. That's his leans for the week. Make sure you check out his other segments on his top plays and his toss-ups. For Eliot Crist from the Quant Edge, I'm Steve Overmyer, and this is Fanalysis.